Good morning, students. I, Rekha Narayan, your this year's biology teacher, welcomes you all for the online classes. Children, it is a very new thing for me as well as for you to interact through um, a video. Uh, Otherwise, we used to interact face to face, but you all are aware that pandemic is around us, and that is COVID-19, and this has made us stay away from each other, and that is for our benefit only. So please keep yourself safe, calm, and pray to God so that this pandemic gets over as early as possible and we should all be safe, healthy, and come back to the normal situation. Yes? Okay. So today we are going to start the first chapter of the syllabus for biology, that is cell. Now, before this, I would like to mention one thing. Children, you might have not bought the textbooks for the class 9. So that is why I have downloaded the chapter of the NCERT book, and I have sent a PDF of that chapter from the NCERT book. Please use that because NCERT book is the main book that you are going to refer. Whatever questions, whatever things will be coming, whatever concept that will be from NCERT, that's just like a Bible for you. You have to read line by line all the chapters thoroughly. So either you take a printout if possible, or you keep it as a PDF file in your computer or phone and read through that. Okay. Now, so we will begin the chapter cell, the fundamental unit of life. Cell. What is a cell? Yes, you all know that it is the building block of any living thing. Any living thing is comprises of a basic component, that is the cell. Okay, in the junior classes, like means in the previous classes, you have studied the concept of cell that and it was compared between a brick of a building. Like when a building is built up, the bricks are arranged one by one, and then it is built to the wall, and finally it converts into a house or a mall or a shop, whatever. Similarly, a life begins with a single cell. That single cell multiplies and gradually it forms the different parts. It forms tissues, it forms organs, it forms systems, and then a complete organism is formed. Like a seed have a single cell embryo. That embryo grows into a baby plant. The baby plant grows into a big plant and then tree. Then it bears different parts of it. Similarly for the animals also. Okay, so when we just jot down as a definition for the cell, we say that what is a cell? Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. Structural and functional. Now this is very important, children. You should understand this. Structural means it gives the basic structure of living creature, whether it is a plant, animal, insect, bird. The overall structure is given by the cell. Why? How? Because when the few cells, similar cells join together, it gives the tissues. Tissues join together, similar tissues join together, and they form an organ. Like our hands are made up of some kind of cells joined together, then tissues have formed, then the muscles have formed, then the complete hand is formed. So it gives a basic structure of any living thing. Functional. Functional means any kind of work when it is doing. Okay. Now hands have the function to lift anything, move things like that. So that is because of what? The cell. Because every cell has been assigned a special function. Now, if we have to move our hand, it needs flexibility. So the cells will have that feature of flexibility. And if, like suppose, the upper layer of the below the skin, the muscles which are present, it gives protection. So the cell's structure and shape will be like that, which gives the protection. So that is what it says, that whenever a life is considered, the cell is the basic unit of the life, and it provides structural as well as functional aspect to the living organism. Okay. Now, let us go to little history of the cell, how it is, because everything in the world, when it is in front of us, it has an history. Who has discovered? Who was the first one to know about this? Okay, so that invention, that discovery is further studied, then further studied, then further studied, and then still now there are certain inventions and learnings, and you can say investigations are going on by the different people based on the previous inventions and the studies. So let us little history we should go for. In 1665, Sir Robert Hooke, who was an English scientist, he has discovered that there is some small things which are present in every living organism. How did he come through? He just one day, he cut a slice of a cork and then he put it under a very crude microscope. What is the meaning of crude? Very basic, which was having a lens and which was having a viewpoint, so that he saw that. And when he saw that slide of the cork with his naked eye, he could not see anything. But when he put it in the microscope and he magnified, he saw that some structures are visible. What is that structure? So he felt that yes, that structure has some special type of shape, that is a honeycomb. Honeycomb, you know children, the beehive made by a honeybee. That beehive, when you see closely, when you will observe, you will see that the hexagonal structures are present in the beehive. That is called as honeycomb. So he saw the cork has, when it is magnified, is a honeycomb structure which was not visible from the outside. So he named those honeycomb structures as a cellulae or cells. So who was the first one to discover the cell? Sir Robert Hooke. And when? In 1665. But later it was studied further by the many other scientists, and further inventions was done that we will discuss later. So the next point he is given in the book is his history indicated for the first time that living organism consisted of small structures or units. So that means when he observed the honeycomb type of structures, this made to think that all the living things, whether it's a plant, whether it's a plant parts or animal parts, everything has some small units which are joined together to form the structure. So this was the initial or the very primitive history of the cell. Next topic is, in this chapter, what are we going to study for? First is prokaryotic and eukaryotic. This I will discuss later. Don't get into right now. We will discuss later. Then multicellular and unicellular. This also will come later. Then the components of the cell. What are the different parts of a cell? Cell wall, cell membrane. It is the outer boundary. Then inside the cell, what are the components? The inside components of the cells are called as cell organelles. So these are chloroplast, mitochondria, vacuoles, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, nucleus, etc. And then the most important part of the cell, that is the chromosome, which is only present in the living thing. Because of the presence of the chromosome, when there is a lot of variations are seen in the every generation because of the combination of the chromosomes. Okay, all the genetic transformations, or you can say that any genetic features are transferred from the parents to the progeny is through the chromosomes. So its structure, how it, when a cell divides into new cells, how the chromosome gets also divided and goes to the next new cells also. What are the numbers, different numbers of chromosome in different organisms, everything we will study in detail in the coming Now, little more history of the cell. Just to revise, just first point that we have already discussed. In 1665, Sir Robert Hooke discovered the cell. Then after Robert Hooke, the next step of the study was done by Sir Van Leeuwenhoek, that is in 1674. He was the one who studied the living cell, which was from the living already. Cork is a dead cell. Cork is that part of the plant which is dead, which doesn't have any life. Why? Because the cork cells have some kind of depositions in the cell wall that makes it dead. It is no more further alive. Next is Robert Brown, sir. In 1831, his discovery was about the nucleus in the cell. He discovered that, okay, cell is there, then living cells are there, the features are there. But he discovered that in the center portion of the cell, there is one structure that is very important in the process of cell division. And that is what? It is the nucleus. He studied that what are the components of the nucleus, how it changes during the cell division, everything he only studied. Next comes the M.J. Skelton and Sashwan in 1838 to 39. They carried out the study of the previous scientist, and then they just put it down, jotted down the cell theory. Cell theory means he gave the cell theory point number 1 as all the living things are made of cells. Any living thing is made up of cells, and he said that a new cell always arises from the pre-existing, that means previous cells. It is not suddenly comes from somewhere. The old cells only give rise to the new cells. Then there is one more scientist, Virchow Leeuwenhoek. He has given a you can say French quote, that is omnes cellulae et cellulae. That means new cells are arising from the old pre-existing cells. Now you can see that pictures of the scientists are given to you. This is Sir Robert Hooke, this is Leeuwenhoek, this is Robert Brown, this is Skelton and Schall, this is Rudolf Virchow, who has given the formula. He has just modified the cell theory given by the Skelton and Sashwan. Okay. Now, just to sum up what we have discussed right now about the cell, it was what? Cell is a building block. It is a building block. Building block like a brick of a building. Similarly, the body building block is the cell. Okay. Secondly, basing on the cellular organization, some of the organisms are made of the cells. How the cells are arranged in the living organism? On the basis of the arrangement or the numbers of the cells in the living organism body, they are classified into two categories. Number one is the unicellular and the number two is the multicellular. From the name, it is very clear, children. Uni means one. So the organisms which have or who have only one cell, that means the whole body is comprises of one cell. So they will be called as, they will be called as unicellular organisms like Chlamydomonas, amoeba, paramecium. These are the examples of unicellular organisms. And the organisms which are made up of more than one cell, they are called as multicellular organisms. So examples are many for this, children. We can include humans, we can include anything. A big plant, we can include the lizard, we can include a cockroach, we can include a housefly, anything. Okay, but why do the multicellular have, why do we have the organisms like multicellular organisms? Because when in the multicellular organisms, why we have so many types of cells? Because when we talk about the multicellular organisms, their structure is huge. The body is complex. So they have to perform different types of functions. Like in the unicellular organism, the gathering of the food, the digestion of the food, the excretion of the food, the reproduction of the organism, uh, excretion in the organism, everything is performed by the single cell. When we are talking about a complex organism, so all these processes has to be done by a set of cells, set of group of organs. So definitely the respiration process is completely different from the excretion. So the cells which are involved in the process of respiration will be definitely having the different type of structure and the shape as compared to the cells of the excretory system. So that is why it is said that irrespective of unicellular or multicellular organisms, the cells perform similar basic functions for their survival. That means some of the functions of the cells will be the same. It won't be different. It will be just like they will perform the cell division. The new cell will first grow, reach to a certain size, then only they will start doing the functions. So basic functions of the cell will be the same, but all the cells in the different locations will have different functions, also specialized. That is why we say that in the multicellular organisms, the cells are specialized. The specialized cells combine together and they form what? They form tissues. And the specialized tissues combine together they form a organ. And specialized organs combine together to form a organ system. And organ systems work in a coordinated manner to keep the living organism survive, and as the machine parts, if the one of the part of the machine will not function properly, so similarly these systems are the different parts of the human machine. If any machine will have any kind of defect or disorder, so definitely the whole machine will stop. Okay, so I think we should give a break now. I will give you 20 minutes break, 20 to 10 minutes break. Why, children, I will give you 10 to 20 minutes break? Because if you will keep listening to me, that is quite boring, because you will get saturate and you will not get anything further get into your CPU. Okay, so to keep you occupied and to keep your mind working in this break, I'm giving you just two questions. In the next slide, the two questions are coming up for you. In 10 minutes, you finish off the answers for those two questions, and then I will come up with the next topic. Okay, children? Thank you.